Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and I am doing this video about my own personal experience with a cerclage. If you are not familiar with what a cerclage is, it's a very simple procedure. It is where they put a stitch around your cervix to keep it from opening. It is a common procedure. I'm not quite sure, but I believe it's been going on for since maybe the 70s. So it's, a pretty basic procedure. Not all OB doctors perform this procedure. Only certain doctors that are specialized in high risk perform this procedure. And usually you have to have previous pregnancy losses before they will actually perform this procedure. So, like I said before, it's a very simple procedure. Let me first give you a little bit of history about myself. This is my third pregnancy. I am 25 years old, and I am currently 18 weeks and 5 days. I had the cerclage done when I was about 14 weeks, and normally that's when they do the cerclage. And it's, like I said, pretty common. So let me just first give you a little bit of history about myself. I actually lost a pregnancy when I was 18 and another pregnancy when I was 21. And with both pregnancies, I was in my second trimester. So after the last pregnancy loss, I had a test done. My doctor had examined me. I can't remember what the name of the test was called, but it is where they shoot dye up inside you and they take pictures of your female organs, your reproductive organs, and all that good stuff. And my doctor had actually come to the conclusion that there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. He said that my uterus was the right size, my cervix was the right size, and everything was in the right place. So his best educated guess is that I have a weak cervix, also known as an incompetent cervix. And basically what that means is exactly what I said, just weak. Once the baby gets to a certain weight inside your womb, your cervix can no longer handle that weight. So it just opens up, and that's what happens when you have premature labor. Your body goes into labor prematurely, and you deliver the baby when the baby's not at a viable stage. So with my last pregnancy, it was very painful. Both losses were, of course, very painful. But with the last pregnancy, the baby was actually born alive. He lived for 14 hours. He weighed 2 pounds and 2 ounces. And I actually have a video made in his memory, so you're more than welcome to check that out if you would like. But like I said, he lived for 14 hours, and his little lungs did not develop because I went so long without having any water. It's really a whole nother story for another video, but first I'd like to just tell you about the cerclage. So here's exactly what happened. When I was 14 weeks pregnant, I was told to come to the hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the night before I was not allowed to have anything to eat or drink after 9 p.m. And I have to say the drinking part was kind of hard because it seemed like at that point in my pregnancy I was just thirsty all the time. So I have to admit I did cheat a little bit, and I had a few sips of water here and there, but I almost had to because I couldn't even hardly swallow because of the simple fact my throat was so dry. So yeah, I cheated a little bit. And when I got to the hospital, they prepped me and everything. I'm not going to go into all that because that's nothing too serious. And if you're having a cerclage done, you'll figure it out. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. They just give you your robe. You know, you can't wear your own clothes. They tell you no makeup before you come in. They ask you to remove all your jewelry. You know, just simple stuff because it's like a surgery, you know, and that's what it is. But anyways, they recommend what's called a spinal, which I'm guessing is the exact same thing as an epidural. It's where they numb you from the waist down, and that is very common to give to patients who are going in for a cerclage. However, my doctor, who was the one doing the surgery, actually recommended that I be put to sleep. And I believe that he recommended this for me because he has been my OB for my last 2 pregnancies, and he knows me a little better, and he just knows that I have anxiety. He knows that I'm just extra fidgety every time I go to the doctors to have him check me. I'm just an extremely nervous, scaredy cat. Let me put it that way. So he went ahead and recommended that I be put to sleep. So when the anesthesiologist came in to talk to me about my options, he told me the spinal is what they normally recommend to their patients for the cerclage, because when they numb you from the waist down with the spinal, the baby does not receive any of the medication. The spinal only affects you. However, when they put you to sleep, the baby gets put to sleep as well. So they don't recommend this. But he did inform me that the chances of the anesthesia putting the baby in harm's way was pretty much the same amount of chance of it hurting me. And I had been put to sleep before when I was a child, and so I knew that I wasn't allergic to it. I knew that I would wake up and everything would be fine. So I pretty much just put it in God's hands, and I decided to go ahead and be put to sleep instead of having the spinal. And I don't regret that decision. The baby woke up just fine. I woke up just fine. I mean, everything went well. And after the surgery, which is normal, I experienced light bleeding for maybe a day and a half. My doctor did not put me on bed rest, but he did take me off work for 1 week after the surgery, and he told me to take it really easy for the first 3 days. So for that whole week, I did not do anything. I laid on my couch and I watched TV and I just relaxed. I have read a lot of information over the last few years on the internet about a cerclage because, like I said, since my last pregnancy, I have known that I was going to have this done the next time that I got pregnant. So one of the stories that I read was some lady describing the cerclage after she got it, and she described it or compared it to a tampon, almost like she could feel the cerclage inside of her, and it felt like she had a tampon inside of her, and she described it as she could feel it the entire time. Let me just say this. I don't feel any different than before I got the cerclage. I don't feel anything inside of me. I don't feel any different. And at first it seemed like maybe I did a little bit, but I think that was just because my cervix was healing from the stitch being put on it. That, so I don't feel any different. Maybe that lady's wasn't put on properly. I don't know exactly the situation, but I think that every person is different, just like all of our pregnancies are different. So I think everything's going to work out this time. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I'm just really trying not to worry a whole lot. It is hard, and that's why I'm doing this video, for encouragement, because I know how it feels to sit and worry and cry and be scared the entire time you're pregnant. But worrying and being scared is only going to stress you out, and it's no good. In fact, you just need to let it go. There's nothing you can do about it. It's out of your hands. You know, you can't control what happens. I mean, to a certain extent, you know. I did want to say this, however. My fiance and I are not having sex. I've done a lot of research online. He's done research online, and there's a lot of people who say that when you have the cerclage, you should not have any sex. And this is a little on the embarrassing side. A lot of people don't like to ask their doctors these questions, but I actually read on quite a few medical websites that when a woman has an orgasm, it doesn't even have to be from penetration exactly, but when a woman has an orgasm, it actually causes her uterus to contract. And when you have an orgasm, it sends several hormones through your body. And one of those hormones can actually throw you into labor. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this, but I have heard of doctors telling women who are like 38, 39 weeks pregnant to have lots of sex because it can actually help induce their labor. And I know women who have been over their due date and try to have a lot of sex so that way they can go into labor faster. So my point is stay away from sex if you've had the cerclage. Stay away from any type of sex, period. I mean, it's just not worth it. To me, I would much rather bring home a healthy baby and not have to worry, did I do something wrong, and blame myself if something was to happen. Could I have done things differently? My doctor didn't mention to me not to have sex. I have heard of other doctors telling women who have had the cerclage to not have sex, but he did not mention a word. However, I didn't ask. But I'm not going to bother asking him because I'm not doing it anyway. I'm not going to take that risk. So I just don't recommend it. And, you know, I'm no doctor, but better be safe than sorry. So the cerclage went well. I am 18 weeks and 5 days. I have had, well, actually, I'm 18 weeks and 6 days. I have not had any problems whatsoever since I've gotten the cerclage. I haven't had any problems with this pregnancy at all. So far, everything has been going very well. I was about 18 weeks when I had had my water rupture with my last pregnancy. So right around this time was pretty devastating for me with my last pregnancy. However, I did carry that pregnancy till I was 27 weeks. So I carried that whole time with no water. So I'm just keeping an eye on everything. I'm trying to take it easy. I did cut down to 3 days a week at work just for my own self-conscience. My doctor does not have me on bed rest. And I also want to say this too, he has not given me any type of progesterone. I do hear about other women taking progesterone, but my doctor felt that it wasn't necessary, and I do trust him. He's been doing this for over 25 years. He's a specialist in his field, so I trust him. And but I just recommend do your research. Don't worry a whole lot. Do lots of praying. If you don't have a relationship with Christ, you need to make that relationship. You can't expect God to do for you if you don't do for him. And all he asks is for your love and that relationship. So that's not a whole lot to ask for. And even if things don't work out, we have to remember that there is a reason for everything. So if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. And please say a prayer for baby and me. And I will do my best to keep you guys posted and updated on my pregnancy and how everything is going. So you guys have a wonderful night. Bye.